Today we shall be talking about the 2003 James Bond spoof movie Johnny English. This movie stars likes of Rowan Atkinson, Ben Miller, John Malkovich, Tim Pigott Smith, and even the famous singer Natalie Imbruglia. This movie takes a comedic spin on being a spy, and hence why it's a James Bond spoof movie if you like. And this main plot is based around Johnny English being the only agent left after most of his agents or comrades, however you want to say it, are killed at a funeral of another agent, and he is now the only agent left to take on the job and the responsibilities of finding out who was behind the plot and who was behind the attack of the killings of the rest of the agents. And he also has the job of finding out who stole the Queen's crown jewels at the same time, and is it the same person? Let's get into it. What I like then about this movie is that this story of this movie is incredible and top notch, as we see the person behind the thefts of the crown jewels and the person behind the killing of the agents is none other than Pascal Savage, as he wants to turn England into the biggest maximum security prison in the world. However, before his plan, comes to fruition, his plan is shut down as Johnny English accidentally becomes king, and he swoops down and stops him from potentially ruining England as a country and turn it into a maximum security prison, as he swoops down and accidentally becomes king. However, that was the only way he could put a stop to it, even though they had all this knowledge. Nobody would believe him because he didn't have any physical evidence. Same with Lorne and same with Boff. They didn't find any physical evidence, so he became king and then just went, "You're arrested." And they even broke down, Pascal Savage in a simple little sequence where he kept on, trying to get into his mind. And he did start pointing a gun at Johnny English so that people saw the real him as well. So it weren't just the evidence that mounted against him, it was his personality as well, which sold his ass down the river. Also, throughout the movie, we see that Johnny English has to keep pushing Pegasus to try to believe what he's saying, because Johnny English and Boff know deep down that guy's behind everything. But since he's sucking up to Pegasus, who is the leader of MI7, he then doesn't see that Pascal Savage is a villain and trying to get to the throne and the guy behind the crown jewels. So every attempt to try to use him as being the main suspect gets shut down by Pegasus. To me, this is why this movie is such a big movie for me, and one of the best spoof movies I've actually seen, as it has a great story. It tells a great little plot. It is quite believable, and it's so funny at the same time. The comedic element is so funny, and there's no seriousness really in this movie apart from the fact that this evil guy could become king. Other than that, it's a pure comedic film and a great comedy and a great family movie to watch. Just to mention a few things that really hit home to me is that this movie, the best way to describe it to people, if for those who haven't seen it, it's basically if Mr. Bean, sorry, I nearly said Mr. Bond, became a MI7 agent, it would be Johnny English. And this movie is basically Mr. Bean meets James Bond. That is the movie. And I think even Rowan Atkinson said that himself in an interview recently, that that's what it is. Mr. Bean is basically Johnny English, as he is basically acting as an MI7 agent. So you get the clumsiness side of him. You get the utter fuck-ups that he makes, but he makes up for it in accidental ways of being successful. And that's what happens when he becomes king, as he doesn't mean to become king, but he does become king, and he manages to change everything around. Just to get into a few comedic aspects that I really enjoyed was the poo scene, where he had to go up the pipe. That was hilariously funny, and one of my all-time favourite bits from a movie. And obviously, there was a ladder at the side, but he crawled up the poo pipe, and it was even funnier to see that Boff did the exact same thing, and it just makes that family element seem brilliant. Also, I really enjoyed the scenes of him mooning the Archbishop of Canterbury as well. That was pretty funny. as he was trying to look for the Jesus is coming, look busy thing on the fake Archbishop of Canterbury's arse, and it wasn't there because they replaced him with the real Archbishop of Canterbury. And also, other funny elements is where he accidentally breaks Boff's nose by blaming it on another victim, the part where half his gun falls out. There's plenty of moments that can make you laugh in this movie, but they were just a few that I picked out just then and there, which are incredible. And even to forget at the start of the movie, where he ends up clicking the pen twice, and the Pegasus secretary gets absolutely paralyzed because he clicked a pen twice thinking it was a normal pen, because he's explaining it looks like one of the old pens. Clicks it twice and then she gets paralyzed. And these are just a few of the comedic elements that show why Rowan Atkinson is a fucking genius. I also want to thank the actors and actresses for making this movie amazing, as they were incredible. As we saw the likes of Johnny English being portrayed by Rowan Atkinson, as we know he's a comedic genius from the likes of Blackadder, Thin Blue Line, Mr. Bean, and that's just to name a few. Love Actually, I think we're in Scooby-Doo 2 as well, Witches. He's been in it all and seen it all, and to have him in this movie created everything, as he brought an element of Mr. Bean to the character. Hence why I don't think if anybody else played the character of Johnny English, nobody else would have played it as good as he did, and brought the James Bond spoof side in as well. Moving on then, Boff, played by Ben Miller, was also fantastic. As we saw Ben Miller in movies, and to be fair, I can't name many Ben Miller movies. I know he was in the Worst Weekend and Worst Week of My Life sort of movies, but they're not like proper movies. But this was his first one, I think, in my knowledge, and he played it brilliantly. And I've obviously watched Ben Miller in the likes of, like I said, Worst Week of My Life, and also Death in Paradise, and he brought the element of being smart but sort of stupid at the same time, as he was smart trying to be a good sidekick to Johnny English, but at the same time he would also do the stupid things like climb up the poo pipe. And again, nobody could play the sidekick like he did, as we find out in the second movie review, but later on that for another day. I also really like Natalie Imbruglia playing Lorna Campbell, as that character felt like you know how you watch Bond movies and there's always a Bond girl? That's what she was in this movie. She acted as a Bond girl, and she played it well. And she did bring the spoof side of things, and she brought the language side of things as well. And I didn't really think Natalie Imbruglia would do that well in this movie, because considering she's a singer, not an actress. However, I like this idea of bringing people from different things like sports or singers into movies and seeing how they fit in. And in this case, it was a success. And like others that we previously mentioned, like Randy Macho Man Savage in the Spider-Man movie, and in Bolt, that worked tremendously well. And will.i.am in Madagascar 2 worked very, very well as well. So I'm a big fan of people coming from different areas and coming into a movie and seeing if they can make it crack as an actor or an actress. Finally, I want to big up to John Malkovich, as no joke, I thought this guy was French for ages, until I watched the likes of Con Air, and I realised this guy's not French. What was I thinking? And I watched Con Air, and then I watched Warm Bodies with him in, and then I was like, oh shit, this guy's actually English, and he's been in plenty of other things. He's an incredible actor and played an incredible villain in this movie, and he did in Con Air as well. And I also really respect him as an actor, and in this particular movie, because this is the first introduction I had to him as an actor. Used to watch this a lot as a kid, and he is undoubtedly one of my favourite villains in a movie, so big up from me. To summarise this James Bond spoof movie, I really love this movie and watched it a lot as a kid, and was one of my favourite movies. And this movie also showcases Rowan Atkinson, apart from Mr. Bean of course, which had the movies, can showcase that he can be the lead role in a comedic movie, as he performed absolutely brilliant in this particular movie. Hence why I rate this movie an 8.3 and a classic film. So let me know down in the comments down below whether you agree or disagree, and let me know why you disagree or agree with what I've said in this movie, and let me know down in the comments down below. Also, if you haven't already, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, hit that notification bell to be alerted to all the new content this channel creates, and I shall see you guys in the next one. Later.